So what is your name?
My name is Mark Federle.
Okay. How long were you in service?
I have spent 25 years in the service, and I'm currently still in the service.
When you first joined, what was your reason for joining?
I think one of my biggest reasons were the adventure that I was looking for. Also, I just had a desire to serve. I was very influenced by not only my father, who was in the Army, as well as my uncle, who served in Vietnam, but just the history of World War II vets and veterans in general. It spurred me on to make that choice to serve. Well, I've recently, anyway, deployed twice to Iraq, and I would say that probably my most difficult times are that time that I have to spend away from my wife and children while I'm deployed to other areas. Probably one of my best memories, I guess, is when I was deployed in 2006. I was a platoon leader at that point. I was an officer, a second lieutenant. I had 30 men underneath me at that point. The unit that we were assigned with, they had contacts out in the civilian sector. This is Iraq, and they were authorized to have these contacts out in the civilian sector, and they acquired civilian vehicles from these contacts that they had. And at more than one point, there were myself and 10 of my soldiers went out with two of these soldiers that we were working with out into the civilian sector, made contact with the civilians to pick up about 15 of these vehicles and drive them back onto base. And that was just one of the more exciting things that we got to do on during our deployment, because the typical soldier doesn't get to put on his civilian clothes with limited weaponry and go out on the civilian side of the wall and bring back vehicles that you really don't know where they're coming from or what they've got in them. So,
how different was Iraq from from being in America?
Oh, night and day.
Yeah.
Night and day. Well, for one thing, you don't go anywhere without some type of weapon on you. Yeah, you carried a 9 or a pistol or a rifle with you everywhere you went. Yeah. Just the weather and the temperature and the people that you had to interact with, the lack of green is very evident after a while. That there's just no grass, or what grass does come up, burns up and turns brown fairly quickly. There was during my first deployment, I went on a convoy with a unit and was in the back of the vehicle, so I was able to just kind of look out the window and watch the surroundings. And at one point we drove past 2 cows on the side of the road, and I remember remarking to my family that the cows even looked sad. They were just very thin to begin with, compared to what we are used to seeing. But their heads are drooped, their bones are showing, and the cows just look sad to be there. So I was able to go on a convoy where we did a intervention, a civilian intervention. There were medics that went out with us from this unit, and we pulled security in the Sheikh's compound, and the Sheikh brought in the people of his village to his house, and the medics that were in this unit were specialized medics, but they did an intervention where they would see the people of the village and treat any kind of injuries or wounds that they may have, or talk to them about, work with them on any kind of physical maladies that they may have. But that also leads into one of the shakier times that I had while deployed, because you're only in this area for a short amount of time, or you're only supposed to be interacting in this area for a short amount of time. So you would set up your security in a in a circular area and have a roving security. And at one point you also have a couple of armed guys up on the at the building itself.
Yeah.
Well, as your time runs out or starts to come to an end, the sheikh and his people, and even some of your own military folks that know enough of the language, have to start turning away people from the village, and hey, we have to leave, kind of thing. And probably one of the most nervous times that I had, was while I'm standing there with a loaded weapon, and myself and two other guys are standing there with loaded weapons. We've got this mob of civilians that are starting to creep ever closer to us and creep in on us tighter and tighter. And these are not military-aged males. These are old women and young kids and old men that are starting to crowd in on you. And you tell them, or you have the interpreters that are telling them, hey, you need to back up, we need to leave, and they just keep coming at you. It's like your grandma or your grandma's group of grandmas coming at you, and you can't really do anything, but yet you don't know who in the crowd is not friendly towards you as well. So.